Good evening and welcome to the 4th Annual Music Supervisor Guild Awards. I'm Jonathan McHugh, your host for Q-Score, and we are tonight in Mac Sennett Studios in Silver Lake, California for the 4th Annual Music Supervisor Guild Awards. Hi, we're sitting here with Maureen Crow, Music Supervisor Guild President. Maureen is responsible for helping to start this organization and bring it all the way home. Maureen, talk about what you're feeling tonight.
I'm so excited about tonight. It's so great to be at Mac Sennett Studios. This is where Charlie Chaplin came 100 years ago to start his silent film career. But as we know, silent movies have never been silent. There's always been music, and there's always been music supervision. So we're here during Oscar Week just to give a shout out to our peers at the Motion Picture Academy that we too celebrate film, and we feel our story is an important one to be told.
So Maureen Crow has had some of the biggest movies, soundtracks. The Bodyguard is one of her biggest ones ever. She's a pioneer in the game. And talk about how you think music supervision has changed over the last 10 to 15 years.
I think it's a reflection of how films have changed. I mean, music supervision has changed as the stories of films have changed and evolved, where the directors and the producers really want to reach audiences in a different way and grab their attention. So, of course, their characters and the stories that they tell all have different types of music that help tell the story. And I think music supervision is becoming more intimate and at the same time more directed towards telling the story and really supporting the vision the director has and the media people have in engaging the audience.
To JT Griffith. He works at Nike in Portland, Oregon, and is responsible for creating some of the greatest spots that you've seen out there because Nike uses music very well. First, let's talk about the LeBron James spot you cut. Tell us about the origin of that and the music you used.
The final song is a production by Mike Will, who wrote the song and also produced it. And he brought in, kind of late in the process, John Legend to do the vocal. There was a different version of the song done at one point.
And tell us why you love doing what you do as a music supervisor.
Well, you know, I play a role in these projects, so I sometimes suggest music, sometimes advocate for music, sometimes facilitate the music getting cleared, and I work with other people in our business affairs group too to do that, and it's a privilege to work kind of across all these different regions. I work globally in different countries, working with a slew of different agencies, some in-house, some external, and as a kid who grew up listening to the radio, it's fun to play a role in sports and the kind of marriage of those two and things that can be really inspiring.
The Nike spot that was done with the Killers a number of years ago, I'm not sure you were there, but I was at Island Def Jam at the time, and the Killers never approve anything. But the spot was so good that we literally beat them down and convinced them that they need to be in the spot. And to talk about that, sometimes artists want to do it and sometimes don't, and how you guys work with them.
Well, that's a spot that was like a really big deal for us. It was the 2008 Beijing Olympics ad, and I was there, and my boss Mark Thomas played a big role in that. He's been at Nike since, in '84 he did our first sync, which was I Love LA for the around the Olympics. And back at a time when syncing songs to advertising was really uncommon. And the Killer spot came from a pitch from IDJ, and it was kind of late in the process, and it really worked well. I think it was something that is really in line with historically one of the elements of the Nike sound, which has been using really big bands for the first time. First only Beatles master use. First ad for Aerosmith, the Killers, AC/DC, and some other bands too of smaller stature, but some of these really big tentpole bands that don't do advertising often are really interested in kind of the international appeal and the sports appeal of Nike stuff. And the Killer spot, it was a beautiful ad, and it was good timing, I think. So
I'm sitting here with Joel C. High, one of the founding members of the organization and board member. Joel was very actively involved in putting this event on. Joel, tell us about this venue and why you were one of the proponents for doing the show here.
When we were looking at originally doing this event, one of the big reasons for choosing this time was to tie it closely in with the Academy Awards. So we looked originally at places like the Beverly Hills Hotel and other very kind of Tony venues like that. But when we found this venue and its old Hollywood roots in the silent film and the origins of music in movies, we thought it was a perfect fit. It was much more of our style, of our kind of a little bit. We're not exactly let's just say the fanciest people. We like.
No, we're less than fancy.
Yeah, we like things a little bit dirtier. So we picked some place that really had a feeling for the process of the filmmaking. So.
And as a music supervisor, tell me one of your favorite things and why you love being a music supervisor with all the challenges that it presents.
Honestly, it's perhaps the best job. We get to work with, people in music and in film and television and kind of bring them all together. So it's a way of helping tell stories with music in ways that, people, can really relate to and really have an emotionality to it. So it's kind of like a really fulfillment of a dream.
Talk about how music supervising gives you the skill set to move on and do other things while you're doing it.
Being a music supervisor, you kind of have to, when people ask you what a music supervisor is, it's not somebody who makes music. It's somebody who helps, cultivate those who make music do what they do best. So it kind of lends itself to a lot of other mediums. If you understand how the psychology of working with creative people, it kind of goes into in essence, I know that understand this, is being a producer on films. You know how to work with a bunch of different people. You know how to work with an orchestra, for example, specifically in music supervision, how to do licensing, so you know business affairs, you know how to do budgeting, you know how to work with creative people. So it lends itself easily to doing a number of jobs in entertainment.
We are lucky enough to have nominee Nora Felder for the hit show Californication on Showtime, which is entering its 7th year. Nora, how the hell are you?
Good, great. How are you guys doing?
If you could think of one of your favorite music uses on the show over the last 6 seasons, what would it be?
When we had RZA as a guest star.
I love that story arc. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was really, really fun. And working with him was awesome. And he gave us some songs for the show, songs he had created. But a lot of people do comment about the Led Zeppelin use of Dazed and Confused. And that was awesome in the sense that they're not easy to clear. And when I had presented it for the scene, it was very much, we're never going to get that, like the whole way through.
It was a temp pitch.
It was a temp, but then I was like, I'm feeling really ballsy. Let's go for it. We can do this. But then that we can do this became, can we do this? It just kind of kept changing. But after, it was a long haul, and after, they want to see footage, Robert Plant and, they take it very seriously. They really make conscientious decisions, and we literally found out a few days before the mix, and it was really hard because, I'm trying to be the supervisor and go, we should have backups in line in case it doesn't happen. And it was hard to even imagine a backup that could do what that song did for that scene, which was during this amazing, powerful dream sequence. But it worked out, so that was amazing.
And that's what music supervision is. You heard about determination to be able to try to get that track that's ungettable, like Dazed and Confused, which obviously Hank is that character, Dazed and Confused, and then finding the track that you love that works beautifully for the film. So, Nora Felder, thanks so much for coming on, and good luck with your hopeful win on Californication. Nora Felder, everybody. Hi, we're back at Q-Score, the 4th annual Music Supervisor Guild Awards with nominated young fella Matt Rush Sullivan for his, he's middle-aged, but he looks good, for his work on Saving Mr. Banks, the fine film about Walt Disney and his epic battle to get Mary Poppins to the screen. And what's your favorite thing about doing what you do for a living?
Talking to you.
Besides that, of course. I know that one, but besides that.
I don't know, man. It's just, honestly, in the last 3 days on this movie, I went from sitting in a vocal booth about an hour ago with Cameron Diaz the day before.
Name dropper?
Al Pacino told me never.
You told her I said hi, right?
Yeah, he told me never drop names. And then the day before that, I was on my hands and knees doing dog noises during a song. just because they wanted that. And then, just being creative and just kind of just doing all different crazy stuff. It's, I like kind of stepping out of the picking out music thing and just really get creative.
And I'm lucky enough to sit here with my friend Eliza Richardson, who has been one of the most prolific music supervisors over the last decade or so. Plus, she does a show every Saturday night, which I love listening to on KCRW. Turns me on to all sorts of great music to make me a better music supervisor. Eliza, congratulations on your nomination for Parenthood.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So,
John.
Parenthood is run by a mutual friend of ours, Jason Kadams, who now has a new show on the air, which I saw for the first time the other night, About a Boy. What I love about Jason and Liza, they have a great partnership. And tell us about what it is, working with someone like that, lets you do what you do and build music in organically into your shows.
Well, he's got great taste in music. He hires great people. We have a lot of the same people on all of his shows. We started on Friday Night Lights and then Parenthood and then now About a Boy, and a lot of the same teammates. Everybody wants to please him. He's just an amazing leader, and he's got great taste, and he's always throwing me like crazy challenges. Like, I don't know, we have this great thing coming up on About a Boy where we found a band that gave us a song, and that song is supposedly written by our main character, and it's an unknown band named Rivers, and then in the script they compare him to Beck, and it's just going to make this kid like so happy. He's like a 22-year-old kid, and I don't know.
You're making dreams come true, basically.
Well, not me, but I mean.
You're part of the dream-making unit.
It's just a good team.
Cara Hughes is here with us, and she is nominated for a little show called Buck Wild. And tell us about Buck Wild. What was your work on that show like?
Buck Wild was a pretty intense show. We used like over 400 masters on that show across 12 episodes, so it was very music intensive. It was one of my favorite shows because the music that we got to use was so different than what I get to use on most of my other shows. A lot of reality shows, they want kind of the standard, poppy, mass appealing type of music, and we really went for very southern rock, southern hip hop, a term we coined hick pop. I got to license a lot of stuff from guys who somehow managed to make records but didn't even have internet or phone lines, so it was really difficult to get in touch with them, but they had this amazing music that really represented the region that these kids were living in.
And tell people the premise of the show.
It's basically just a bunch of young kids living in the South, just doing wild and crazy things. You could kind of equate it to a Jackass, except they're not out there doing stunts. They're just mudding and jumping off bridges just for fun, not like to make a stunt.
Wow. And tell us one of your favorite things that you like about music supervision and why you do it.
Well, obviously the favorite thing would have to be music. I mean, we get to spend a huge chunk of our days listening to music, so you can't really get any better than that.
I'm sitting here with my old friend Howard Parr, who we've had on the show recently. Howard's a board member of the Music Supervisor Guild. Howard, tell us about your thoughts about the event so far.
John, I couldn't be more excited just to be in a mythic spot like this. I've never been in Max Sennett Studios before, and I'm genuinely excited. I'm not that fond of a lot of the venues around town, and this one is just amazing history and a resonance to it. I'm really excited, actually. I think it's going to be a cool night.
And are you excited about seeing Aloe Black?
Hell yeah. It's going to be great.
So tell us what your thoughts are of the Guild. You're just getting into the board for the first time. What's your experience been like so far?
It's really exciting. I mean, I think it's a race of information and flow and all of this coming together so quickly. And I think the biggest thing above and beyond whatever that is achieved by this is just spending time with all of the guys that we don't get to speak to because we're all off on different projects. So I'm loving it and love the spirit of it. And I think everyone's going to have fun.
And what's your favorite thing about being a music supervisor and doing what you do?
The one moment where something works to picture every time is still going to be like the first time. There's nothing else like it.
It is funny because Thomas Golovich was just here and he said the same thing, and I was thinking about when he said it, and it's like, it is true. No matter what else you do in this life, when that moment clicks, it just feels special. And satisfying directors, I mean, that's what the game is really about, right?
Yeah, it never gets old, and it's like the best kind of addiction, right, I think.
My old friend PJ Bloom, who's nominated tonight for Glee. How you feeling, tough guy?
I feel fantastic, man. It's amazing. We sort of hatched this event about 4 years ago, and every year it increases in popularity. And here we are at Max Headed Studios. We actually shoot American Horror Story here, so it's fun to kind of be on a little bit of my home territory, a little bit of connectivity to what we do. And you can hear the crowd down there. There's a lot of people, and it's people gathering, and it's going to be a legitimate awards event this evening. Very exciting.
Yeah, we've stepped it up. We started out at a little brunch in the downtown, moved to the London Hotel last year in a windstorm, and now we are stepping up our game to the fourth annual event. So PJ has been a supervising luminary, shall we say, crushing it with Glee, American Horror Story, nominated tonight. Talk about what makes you love music supervising.
Man, I got to tell you, I'm coming into my 20th year, which is kind of unbelievable to me, because I still feel like a young guy. But I think like all of us who get involved in this industry, I'm just a music fanatic. I have this voracious appetite for it, and honestly, I didn't even know there was a business in soundtracks. I didn't know there was a business called music supervision, and when I discovered it. And I realized that there's this job where you could have one foot in music and one foot in the visual medium. It was done for me. It was all over. And then I did everything I could to kind of stay a part of it. Ultimately, I figured out that I had a skill set for it. And it's just amazing to me. I mean, I think for those of us involved and for the audience sitting there in the movie theater or watching on television, that a song can change the way you see something. It can change how you feel. It can change, everything about the visual medium. So the fact that I get to be part of it, the collective creative process, manipulate music, manipulate the visual medium in that way, it's just, I can't imagine doing a better job.
That was the show called the 4th Annual Music Supervisor Guild Awards. And we had many different great nominees come in here. And our next show, we will talk to the winners. But keep it tuned in, emPOWERme.tv, Q Score. For more Q Score, please check us out at emPOWERme.tv to find out what goes on behind the curtain and how the film and TV music gets made. It happens right here. Tune in.